Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead.
The accountant and lawyer on your board, or any of the board members, don't respect you, you're not going to get shit out of them. And you certainly won't be able to hold them accountable. And the professional firms, even more so, because they've actually got skin in the game. They've devoted or directed part of their business development budget, as I said earlier, towards you. And but I mean, she's not tough. I mean, a Viking bitch is tough when you hear her, but not tough. She's not like a cab driver taking you around the horn up to 160th Street instead of going across the bridge into Manhattan. They're not tough. You're going to hear a couple of tough guys, real tough guys. As our daughter would say, Daddy treats everybody the same, like shit. If you start on the shit end of the scale and maybe work down towards, diarrhea, a little softer shit, but you got to be hard. And if you're not hard, kids, and there's nobody, we got a couple of pretend hard guys in the room, but they're not really hard. If you're not hard, one, you're not going to be able to put your board together. Two, you're not going to be able to get accountants and lawyers. Three, you may get a deal ultimately done, and then they're going to take it away from you. When I looked at you when I said that he didn't want to fight, I mean, I saw, not alligator tears, that's an exaggeration, But, I mean, you'll wish that you had gotten pummeled in the schoolyard by somebody like me when that happens to you. You'll wish that your dad had beat the shit out of you, like me. But if you're not tough, the templates will not work if you sound like a cunt. They will not work. Unless you say them 500 times or something. Remember, you're only 2,000 cold calls away from your first deal. And when she's leaving a message, that's not a cold call. A cold call is you talk to somebody that can make a motherfucking decision, not some rag crack administrative assistant. That's not a cold call. And as Andre said this morning, 1,613 until it all came together at once. We have kids making 300 cold calls a day. 300 a day. And we have kids that haven't made 300 a year since they left the seminar. Now, I don't need to tell you, and you heard the pig fucker, the Belfast pig fucker. It took him a week and a half to get the chairman, remember? And then one cold call for each one and closed them. CEO one cold call, CFO one cold call. By now his dick's like this. I mean, the desk, he's lifting the fucking desk up from a hard on. He's the man. And everybody, bam, bam, bam. And that's how you do it. And when you feel powerful, it's like when Muhammad Ali used to be Cassius Clay back in the day. He talked shit before he ever knocked anybody out. I'm the greatest. Most of you aren't old enough, but you've seen the YouTube shit, right? I'm the greatest. Well, I talk shit too. But if you don't believe it, and it starts with, I don't want to make this sound like religion, but some of you believe in some kind of shit, right? I don't give a fuck what it is, okay? You can believe in the dollar, Bitcoin. I don't give a fuck, Bitcoin, okay? But you got to have faith because, the Bitcoin God hasn't come down and touched you on the forehead. You got to believe. And the guys that believe do the best. And when you saw the Belfast pig fucker, I mean, he's the guy, he has swallowed the Kool-Aid. And guess what? He's performed. There was one other comment she made that was bullshit. None of the kids know what they're doing. I know you don't believe me. You look at me like you're we have two puppies. We have a champion bulldog. Sally bought Winston a title. Just like the kind of title you can buy for yourself. Those are not cheap. That's Sir Winston now. And there's nothing in the bylaws that it has to be a human. So when he doesn't listen to me, and then I say, Sir Winston, and then he looks around at me. But we have another puppy, Great Dane puppy. And when you're training, you got to be tough. We're not as tough as you should be, okay? But it's like I've never potty trained anybody. Somebody in my family potty trained the 3 kids, not me. I've only changed 1 diaper in my life. And I was shamed into changing that diaper. Shamed. Because the shit was rolling down the inside of his leg. And said, damn, God damn. And so, where's the nannies? Where's the governesses? Where's the fucking maid? Get some Anyway, I took him into the kitchen, held him by his foot, and took the diaper off, and held him under, one of these faucets that go like this. And I still remember him looking up at me. What the fuck are you doing? And I didn't know where the diapers were, so I went and got paper towels and a stapler. That's my extended parenthood. That's it. Boom. And that was 1 too many. But if you don't act with authority, you're going to take longer. Because they're not going to believe you. The real thing is you got to show leadership 101. You got to show leadership 101. It's like when a football or baseball and the team, they rah-rah, get all jacked up before they start playing. You're the cheerleader. You own the most. You're the cheerleader. You're the on-the-spot, on-the-job training, the coach right there. And if you can't, it won't happen. Or it'll happen in a long, long, long time. And now you've seen the Irish pig fucker, 26 days. And the 7 days wasn't the first deal. I'd like to lie and say the 7 days was the first deal, but it's not. It was his 19th or 20th deal. But you ought to be able to do a deal in 7 days after you've done 20. You should. You should. Okay, questions about Margot? Yes, sir.
Basically, my take on her is that she focused on the adjusting mindset and attitude.
Yeah. Well, she built her self-confidence. Now, most women that were making a couple $1 million a year would have more self-confidence. But women aren't trained to be confident in themselves. And you 3 gals in the room, you know what I'm talking about. Unless you had some kind of special ambi-penis training from something, you weren't trained. And if you went to came from a proper family, you went to debutante balls, and you went to this, and you went to that, and you learned how to, not eat with your feet. That's not training to do this shit. I'd rather have a foreman on a construction site that's a gal. She's a ball-busting bitch, by definition. They would take you out in the parking lot and probably kick your ass. So even with the templates, unless you act like you had a pair, and the guys that have low, deep voices, we've had some of the guys, and I tell you, go to voice coach. A couple of you got squeaky little voices like you're 8 years old. That dog don't fucking hunt. Just doesn't. And I don't like to use this term because the kids use it, not the millennials, but the ones that are younger than millennials. Fake it till you make it. I don't like that, but it's pretty apt. Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. And that's what smelling the leather and all that stuff is all about. But I did that, and I had excellent leadership skills. My military background. But I still practice. I gave a lot of fucking speeches in front of a mirror, taping myself. Embarrassing the first 50 or 60. What else about Margot? And she said when I went out, I think there was this thing in there where she said, and funny enough, they work. I don't think it's so fucking funny, you French slag. But anyway, fun. Pardon? Yeah, of course I have her number. I have all your numbers. But but it's not funny, but they work. But for most of you, did you have your hand up? Okay, I haven't forgotten you. Go ahead.
Just one to ask, how much is she worth at the moment? How many deals she's done?
Oh, I haven't had an update since Corona, but she was doing all that before Corona. Probably 250 million French francs, which is about $300 million, I think. But she's a workaholic. She likes to work, which is unusual. Not because she's a gal. I don't mean it that way. It's unusual after you make, when you have about 200 million in the bank, something happens to you. I won't say laziness but you get satiated is the word I'm looking for. It happens 2 or 3 times as you grow your net worth. The first time is around 200. In the bank, not in deals, shit, nah. So if all your deals cratered, you still have a couple hundred million, fuck around with. Some people call it fuck you money. Joe Rogan calls it fuck you money. He's not the only guy that calls it fuck you money. And and that hasn't happened. I mean, she's a hard-working bitch still. Tough girl. She's a little sounds a little goofy because she's French. But and I didn't know that she boxed when we did this, because we used to have a form you fill out because we don't want to get anybody hurt, yada yada. And this other girl that we put her in with, I didn't know she boxed either, because it says, "Do you have any martial arts experience?" Blah, blah. And they didn't have that, but they had both boxed. So when they got in the ring, it was not the guys swinging from haymakers. It was the only boxing that we've had where we got positive commentary from the meatheads. That doesn't mean anything to me, but because the two gals were pretty good. They were pretty good. And they also volunteered to fight the guys if they wanted, but nobody fought with them. And they're both tall. And the little guy said, "Oh no, she's too tall." And they came up with all kind of excuses why none of the guys would step in the ring with her or with either one of them. Somebody's hand, yes, sir, in the back.
It's the same.
Well, okay, wait, guy. I mean, did you grow up here in the meantime? It's the guy. I said the guy in the back. Go ahead.
So my question's not really directed at Margo, but more so to class. I mean, you mentioned there had to be at least 20-something people there. And I know that video is at least 2 or 3 years.
No, it's 2 years old.
2 years old, and only 2 people out of the class have actually done a deal.
No. I mean, been successful. One deal is not success to me. The one guy that was asking about running 2 businesses, he's from Brooklyn now that I think about it. He's in Brooklyn. One of the guys in that video has had a nervous breakdown. We had a Vietnamese gangbanger who I missed, which EJ corrected me, who's done a bunch of deals. We've got the Viking bitch who's done a bunch of deals. But only 2 to 4 of you in this group are going to hit it for 6, or hit it out of the park. Hit it for 6 in cricket terms is when you hit a home run, kind of. Only 2 to 4 of you. And this is a smaller group, so probably only 3. Now, 5 years from now, 60% of you will have done a deal. 8 years from now, 75%. But I'm not interested in that shit. I'd be dead then. I don't give a fuck about that. To me, I want your success yesterday more than you do, if that's possible. Because I want to post the numbers while I'm still alive. I don't want some asshole on CNN, Anderson Cooper, saying, "Oh, man, the claim to be the $1 trillion, actually the $6 trillion. Fuck that. I don't want it now. I want it now. Now, you, young lady.
I was just wondering whether...
Is this a Dutch deal or an Asian deal?
I was just wondering whether...
She just ignores me, kind of like my wife. Okay, go ahead.
Did she stay in the U.S. too?
No, she went back to Switzerland. No, not back to Switzerland. She went to Switzerland, and one of the conversations I remember having is, because she speaks French, and that's her native language, and even though he gets away with English, but I mean, and when she gets, I'm sure the guys like what she looked like when she gets dressed up, but she went back to Switzerland, because the French part of Switzerland, I don't know, is that the north? Whatever the part of Switzerland is French-speaking. But part of Switzerland is German-speaking, some of it's French-speaking, and then the others, they speak Swiss. And But I mean, she's done a terrific job. She's done a terrific job. Any other questions about Margot? Yes, sir.
How much was she worth before doing all this?
$5 million, maybe.
Wow.
That's a guess. I don't know that for a fact, but I remember seeing, and I'm giving numbers that were in the article, so I'm not giving her private information. Right? I think she had like $2.8 million in the bank. Yeah, bucks. They were dollars. I'm pretty sure they were dollars. They weren't Swiss francs. There's not that much difference. But see, that kind of question even, I mean, we're not interested that she went from 2.8 to 5 or how much she had in the bank. The fact that, she's doing deals, 40, 50 million French francs a pop now, and that the system is built on the building block, and Andres is doing it exactly the system. He's exactly plus or minus 5% of where he should be. Because at the end of 3 years, you should have 50 million in value. If you follow the blocks, if you follow the steps. But in the beginning, it seems too slow for you. It's too slow for me too, but it seems too slow. And so then the easiest way to not follow the steps is to jump out of line. And when you've done 3 or 4 little deals, let's say, and then you go to the bank, and then the bank's going to say, well, you can do a $25 million deal, but we want to cross-collateralize all your properties. You're fucked. That's why we do every deal for the first 10 deals with different banks. You don't go back to the same Goomba, cousin, brother-in-law asshole. Different banks. You never cross-collateralize until it's time to exit. But we talk about all this in detail later. But that's where you make the mistake. That's where you get off the train or off the bus, or bus, as Sally would say. And it's once you cross-collateralize your properties, you're fucked. So we've got some of the big guys. I told them a couple of years ago, go more cash. And so they pulled 100 million euros. One pulled 100 million, another one pulled 300 or 400 million out. And what are you going to replace it with? What additional collateral are you going to put back? And you want to be highly leveraged. Well, if you don't use commercial banks, you're not leveraged at all, so to speak, although you are leveraged vis-a-vis seller's finance. And once you start doing deals without a bank, you'll say, why in the fuck did I ever use a bank? But you've got to get the banks used to your jargon, the way you describe the deals. And we haven't even talked about non-recourse money yet. Now, this guy knows about non-recourse because it's normally associated with property real estate. But we do it not property real estate. And it's opening up Pandora's box. They go, non-recourse means if you go sideways and the big depression comes, you don't owe the money. How many have experienced non-recourse financing in here, other than you? That's about right. Normally one. Now, they're going to be chewing on your ear now because it's free money. I think they banned free money in Brooklyn because there's so many fucking thieves. We're not talking about big money, but the mob. I don't mean that kind of money. Okay, the free money. And then we haven't started talking about International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and all kinds of other financial institutions. A lot of the kids don't use banks even when they do a commercial loan. Pension funds. I'm going to tell you the secret sauce that YouTube doesn't know. The most liberal pension fund on the face of the earth for the last almost 50 years. As soon as we get off YouTube. For real. We got kids doing deals there right today. I mean, credit union. I mean, there's all kinds of different financial institutions. In the United States, they've got about almost 700 commercial lending arms of financial institutions. 700. Canada's got about 400. Here we've got about 450. In Germany, they got a couple hundred. Okay, nothing else for Margot? Okay, thanks, Kat.